Shalom. I would like to give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Kakwadash. I would like to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to all you sisters at Akim, pushing his word out across the four corners of the world. Just another news update through the spirit, the power, and the vibration of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And I have an article from naturalnews.com, and the title says, Michigan legislators pass hate speech legislation prohibiting misgendering. Violators face 5-year prison sentence or a $10,000 fine. And this was published on July the 9th, 2023. And it says, the Michigan House of Representatives just passed House Bill 4474, which will make it a crime for someone in a state to misgender an LGBT in a way that makes the LGBT feel terrorized, frightened, or threatened by whatever words were uttered. Violators of HB 4474 could be fined up to $10,000 for the criminal act, are sent to prison for up to 5 years, reports indicate. It would become a felony in the state of Michigan to misgender someone under the new hate speech bill, which has not been signed into law as of yet. If HB 4474 does finish making its way through the state legislature and gets signed into law by Governor Gretchen Whitmer, a person in Michigan could be declared a felon if he or she is caught trying to intentionally intimidate an LGBT by using pronouns or other words that the LGBT says are scary or upsetting. By intimidate, the Michigan House means a willful course of conduct involving repeated or continuing harassment of another individual that will cause a reasonable individual to feel terrorized, frightened, or threatened, and that actually causes the victim to feel terrorized, frightened, or threatened, just to be clear. HB 4474 is a leftist weapon against conservatives, Professor Emeritus says. Despite the above definition, neither the Michigan House nor HB 4474 have offered any kind of objective definition against which intimidation or harassment in this context can be defined. Consequently, it will be entirely up to the interpretation of the listener as well as the local prosecutor to make such a determination in a legal sense. The United Kingdom's Daily Mail Online reported that HB 4474 is a part of a continued effort by Democrats in the state of Michigan to advance a pro-LGBTQ+ agenda in their first months in power. Professor Emeritus William Wagner also chimed in on the legislation, stating unequivocally that HB 4474 was designed as a weapon by leftists against their conservative counterparts. Make no mistake about it, Professor Wagner is quoted as saying, those advocating for this legislation will wield these policies as a weapon capable of destroying conservative expression or viewpoints grounded in the sacred. If passed and signed into law, HB 4474 will replace the existing Ethnic Intimidation Act, which already covers sexual orientation and gender identity or expression, but not misgendering. This incremental approach to criminalizing anything and everything that LGBTs find offensive or even just annoying or upsetting is part of a much larger plot to criminalize normalcy and decency by making it a hate crime to not fully conform to LGBT demands. I'm glad I'm on the wrong side of 70, but I sure do feel for the young nowadays. One commenter wrote about the direction this entire country, and not just Michigan, is heading because of LGBT control over society. And the direction of this American society is going on a downward spiral due to its utmost rebellion against Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And on the Joe Rogan's podcast, he quoted a guy by the name of Douglas Murray, and he stated how all the confusion around sex and gender was a symptom of civilization in decline, and how every civilization at the brink of collapse becomes obsessed with gender. Case in point, America, known as Babylon the Great according to the Holy Scriptures. And like how we always bring out via the Spirit, once you go to the word Babylon, it goes into the Hebrew word babal, which means chaos, disorder, and confusion. And that's the total vibration concerning this Edomite supremacy. Regarding America's democracy, its westernization, its Americanization, going into its different policies, its decrees, its economics, its religions, its thought processes, its science, its technology, and concerning this topic right here, its legislations. And that takes me right to 1 Corinthians 14, verse 33. For Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints. So that's simple and plain. And this let us know also via the Spirit by America's codified name being Babylon the Great. Again, going into the word Babal, which means confusion, Yahweh Ba'Shem Abshai is setting this place America up for failure. So therefore, we as the Israelites, and more so the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel, we should not be in that mindset of longevity within this captivity. Mainly because Yahweh Ba'Shem Abshai set this place up for the Israelites to be our punishment. Pretty much, this place was set up to be like a waking call for the ones of us have that spiritual eye salve. And also for us to acknowledge our offenses unto Yahweh Ba'Shem Abshai. And this great sinful kingdom is preparing us to be judges in the next one to come, which is the kingdom of heaven. Because now we as the hopeful elect, we will have that spiritual discernment and experience from the wickedness that we witness in this society, in this world, in this age. And to balance it off through the Spirit, we'll be able to know how to judge in righteousness in the next kingdom to come, which is the kingdom of heaven. So again, for Yahweh Ba'Shem Abshai is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints. And again, going back to that quote of Douglas Murray, how all the confusion around sex and gender was a symptom of civilization in decline. And we are definitely witnessing a great moral decline within America. Concerning this misgender BS will be considered as hate speech. And that takes me right to Genesis 1:27. So the powers, and the Hebrew word for that is Alahayim, which goes into divine ones, rulers, judges, angels, Yahweh's day ones that was going after the blueprint of the Heavenly Father Yahweh to create everything. So the Alahayim created man in his own image. In the image of the Alahayim created he him. Male and female created he them. And notice the two specific genders, male and female. So what is all this confusion in this day of time where you have like 72 various types of genders? Again, 1 Corinthians 14:33, how Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua is not the author of confusion. And that's because with Yahushua, along with the angels, or those divine ones, made everything. Right here in verse 31, it stated, and the Alahayim saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. Which means that everything was satisfactory, acceptable, in order, up to the mark after the blueprint of the Heavenly Father Yahweh. So Yahushua, along with the powers, stated it was very good. However, in this day of time, you have Satan's physical counterpart, referencing to the biblical Edomites, who are considered as the god of this world, have totally transitioned with Yahweh Ba'Shem Abshai, along with the divine ones considered that was good. And that takes me to Romans 1:25, who changed the truth of Yahweh Ba'Shem Abshai into a lie, and worship and serve the creature more than the creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. And according to Job 9:24, how the earth is given unto the hand of the wicked. And once you go into the book of Malachi, the first chapter, it goes into how Esau is the border of wickedness, who are the so-called Caucasian race today. And more so, the higher ups or the upper echelon of the so-called Caucasian race, going into the so-called Illuminati, which also links with 2 Corinthians 4:4, in whom the God of this world have blinded the minds of them which believe not. So therefore, that's who changed the truth of Yahweh Ba'Shem Abshai into a lie. Case in point, the title of this article, Michigan legislators pass hate speech legislation prohibiting misgendering. Violators face 5-year prison sentence or $10,000 fine. So again, back in Romans 1:25, who changed the truth of Yahweh Ba'Shem Abshai into a lie? When the Alahayim made everything, they stated it is good, because it was going after the blueprint or the format of the Heavenly Father Yahweh. So again, who changed the truth of Yahweh Ba'Shem Abshai into a lie? Even though you have a lot of our people into these different higher offices and these different American government infrastructures, but it's not our people nor these other nations that are pulling the strings within this American society. This is referring to the God of this world, who is spearheading this satanic left-hand agenda by pushing forth the acceptance of this alphabet mafia. And let's link up Romans 1:25 to John 8:44. And this is Yahushua speaking unto wicked Israelites that had a higher seat or position within the ancient Roman Empire. And it says, ye are of your father the devil, and the lusts of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. Which is exactly why it's stated within Ecclesiastes 1 and 15, that which is crooked cannot be made straight. And that's because Yahweh Ba'ashim Shah created that vessel of dishonor, referencing to Esau Edom, to do the left-hand bidding of Yahweh Ba'ashim Shah. Which is also why wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth. And that's because, again, the earth is given unto the hand of the wicked. So he was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. And that diabolical mindset of Esau Edom going into the serpent, being very crafty and artful in his deception, he is molding the people to be like-minded as him. And that takes me to Ecclesiastes 10 and 1. A wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. And what makes a particular judge wise is by following after the ordinances of Yahweh Ba'ashim Shah, by keeping and promoting their laws, statutes, and commandments, not coming up with your own decrees and legislations. Verse 2, as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. And here's the point in verse 3. An unwise king destroyed his people. And that's why it's stated within Proverbs 4 and 14, enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of evil men. And that's because they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence, going into that Babylonian wine, which is totally outside the boundaries of Yahweh Ba'ashim Shah. So therefore, by promoting a left-hand agenda like that will make you an unwise king or judge. But through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city should be inhabited. And last but not least, that takes me right to Isaiah 10 and 1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and their right grievousness which they have prescribed. And a decree is like an order, an edict, a commandment, a mandate, a statute, or a law. Which again brings me back to the point of this lesson of these unlawful lawmakers coming up with these corrupted decrees, and by misgendering a so-called trans person will be considered as a hate speech crime. I'm pretty sure it's going to be like a cancer spreading throughout the most of these states. So therefore, that concludes the lesson through the Spirit. Michigan legislators pass hate speech legislation prohibiting misgendering. Violators face 5-year prison sentence or $10,000 fine. So the more that this American sinful kingdom abound more in iniquity, then the more we as the sincere messengers of Yahweh Ba'ashim Shah within this earthly realm supposed to cry out for all the abominations done in the midst thereof. So with that, hopefully you all edified, you all stay strong, keep pushing forward. Shalom.